Have you ever opened the mail and felt your chest tighten at another bill, wondering how on earth you'll pay it on a fixed income? You are not alone. Many seniors carry that quiet fear every month, and the worst part is some of those bills aren't yours to pay. Knowing a few simple rights can stop collectors in their tracks, protect your savings, and give you back peace of mind. Stay with me, these 6 types of bills keep showing up, but you don't have to hand over your hard-earned money for them. Number 1. Medical bills already paid by Medicare or insurance. Many seniors live with the constant stress of opening their mail, fearing another medical bill they may not be able to handle, and sadly, one of the most common mistakes they make is paying bills that have already been covered by Medicare or their supplemental insurance, which means they end up giving away money that should have stayed in their pockets. This often happens because hospitals, clinics, and billing departments sometimes send confusing letters, duplicate statements, or even official-looking invoices that make it appear as though money is still owed when in reality, the balance has already been settled, and this misunderstanding leads to unnecessary stress, sleepless nights, and in many cases, lost savings that could have been spent on food, medication, or simply enjoying life. Imagine the frustration of a 72-year-old man who, after a surgery, receives a bill for thousands of dollars, feels panicked, and nearly empties his savings to cover it, only to find out later, after a simple call to Medicare, that it had already been paid in full. And this is a situation more common than most people realize, leaving many seniors drained not just financially but emotionally, as they carry the unnecessary burden of paying what they don't owe. That's why knowledge is so important, because the truth is, once Medicare or your insurance has handled the payment, you are not responsible for paying again. And the only thing standing between you and peace of mind is the courage to pause, breathe, and verify before rushing to write a check the next time a bill arrives. Instead of panicking or assuming the worst, the best thing to do is call your insurance or Medicare and ask them to confirm whether it has already been covered, and most of the time, they'll tell you it has, sparing you from throwing away money. This one small action could save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars every year, money that could go toward your health, your home, or making your retirement more comfortable. So if you've ever felt that sinking feeling when an envelope marked urgent arrived, please remember that not every bill is truly yours to pay, and many of them are simply errors or duplicates. You worked hard for your savings, you deserve to keep it, and protecting it starts with knowing your rights and refusing to let fear push you into paying what has already been taken care of. Above all, never forget that your peace of mind and financial security matter far more than the noise of a confusing piece of paper, and by staying calm, asking the right questions, and trusting the coverage you've earned, you give yourself the gift of freedom, confidence, and the dignity of knowing your money belongs where it always should, safely with you. Number 2. Old debts past the statute of limitations. One of the most painful traps that many seniors fall into is paying off very old debts that they are no longer legally responsible for, simply because they don't know their rights or because a collector scared them into believing they had no choice. Every state has something called a statute of limitations, which is basically a time limit on how long a company or collection agency can legally sue you for payment. And once that time has passed, the debt might still exist on paper, but you cannot be forced to pay it. Yet collectors know that many older adults don't realize this, so they send intimidating letters, leave urgent voicemails, or speak in harsh tones over the phone, hoping fear will pressure you into paying money you don't owe anymore. Imagine being a 69-year-old retiree, already worried about groceries, medication, and bills, and suddenly you receive a letter about a credit card you closed over 15 years ago. Your heart races, you panic, and you feel guilty because you believe ignoring it could ruin your credit or damage your reputation, so you start mailing in small payments month after month, not realizing that you are throwing away your limited savings on a debt that legally died years ago. This is not only financially draining but emotionally exhausting, because you carry guilt, shame, and anxiety every time you open the mailbox or answer the phone, when in reality, the law is on your side. The truth is, once the statute of limitations has expired, collectors cannot take you to court or legally force you to pay, and every dollar you send them is money you could have used for your health, your comfort, or simply enjoying life's small joys. Think about how many dinners, prescriptions, or special moments with family have been sacrificed just because someone didn't know this law existed. And the sad part is, collectors count on this lack of awareness. They thrive on fear. And they succeed only when you don't pause to ask questions. But the moment you stop, take a breath, and check whether the debt is past the statute of limitations in your state, you begin to take back control, and suddenly the pressure lifts because you realize you don't have to live in fear of a bill that no longer has power over you. Protecting yourself doesn't require expensive lawyers or complicated steps. It often begins with a phone call to legal aid, a trusted advisor, or even a quick search to find out the laws in your state. Because once you know your rights, you cannot be bullied into giving away money that should be protecting your future. So the next time an envelope arrives about a debt from decades ago or a collector calls about something you barely remember, remind yourself that your security, peace of mind, and financial stability are more important than someone else's attempt to scare you. And never forget, you worked hard for your savings, and you deserve to keep it for yourself, not give it away to debts that legally belong to the past. Number 3. Debts that belonged only to a deceased spouse or family member. One of the heaviest burdens that many seniors silently carry is the belief that they must continue paying debts that belonged only to a spouse or family member who has passed away, often because grief clouds judgment and fear makes every letter or phone call feel urgent. But the truth is this: if your name is not on the account, you are not personally responsible for those debts. No matter how convincing the letter looks or how stern the collector's voice sounds, the estate of the deceased may be responsible, but you, as the surviving spouse, child, or sibling, are not, and yet many companies take advantage of this vulnerable time, hoping that sadness and confusion will push you into paying money you don't legally owe. Picture a 76-year-old widow opening her mailbox, still adjusting to life without her husband, and finding a credit card bill in his name. She feels it's her duty. She thinks that paying it honors his memory, so she scrapes together what little she has, cutting back on groceries or skipping her own medications just to send in the payment, when in reality, she has no legal obligation at all. Imagine the emotional toll this takes, the constant worry that if she doesn't pay, something terrible will happen, even though the law protects her from that responsibility. When her son finally explains that those debts were not hers to carry, she feels a flood of relief. As though a heavy chain has been lifted from her shoulders, suddenly she sees that honoring her loved one isn't about sacrificing her own security but about preserving the life they built together. And this story isn't rare, because countless seniors fall into the same trap, paying bills that were never theirs simply because they don't want conflict or because they're too heartbroken to question it. And this is why awareness is so important, because every dollar spent on someone else's debt is a dollar taken away from your health, your peace, and your future. Collectors know this, which is why they target grieving families, using guilt and intimidation to get what they want. But the law is clear and on your side, and once you understand that, you can stand firm and say no without fear. Think about it this way: your spouse or family member would never have wanted you to suffer financially in their absence. They would have wanted you to be safe, cared for, and secure, not trapped under bills that don't belong to you. So the next time a letter arrives with your loved one's name on it, or the phone rings with a voice demanding payment, remember this truth: you are not responsible, you do not have to pay, and you have the right to protect what you've worked so hard for, because your future, your comfort, and your peace of mind matter too. Number 4. Unauthorized charges and billing errors. Unauthorized charges and billing errors are one of the most frustrating traps seniors face. And the saddest part is that many don't even realize they are quietly losing money every month to mistakes that are not their fault. Sometimes it's a duplicate charge on a hospital bill, other times it's a mysterious subscription fee on a credit card statement, or even a small service added to a utility bill that was never requested. And because the letters look official or the numbers don't seem outrageous, people just pay without thinking twice. But over time those little mistakes add up to hundreds, even thousands of dollars lost. The truth is, you are never obligated to pay for something you didn't authorize or a mistake made by the company. But catching these errors requires careful attention, and that's where so many seniors feel overwhelmed. After all, statements are long, filled with tiny print, and sometimes written in confusing language on purpose. Picture an 81-year-old man opening his credit card bill and spotting a $95 subscription fee for something he never signed up for. At first, he assumes he must have forgotten. But when his daughter insists on calling the company, they discover it was an error and the money is refunded, saving him from an unnecessary loss and giving him the satisfaction of standing up for himself. imagine how empowering it feels to know that one phone call, one question, can protect your money and remind you of your worth. Yet, without that moment of courage, many seniors keep paying silently, thinking, better safe than sorry, when in fact, the safest thing is to question what doesn't look right. And here's the emotional part: every unnecessary payment isn't just about dollars, it's about dignity, because you worked hard for that money, through years of effort, sacrifice, and patience. And letting it slip away on someone else's mistake can feel like being disrespected, but when you take the time to go line by line through your bills, or ask a trusted family member to do it with you, you are protecting more than your wallet. You are protecting your independence, your stability, and your peace of mind. Think of what that saved money could mean: a warm meal shared with a friend, a gift for your grandchild, a new coat to keep you comfortable in the winter. Those small joys should belong to you, not to a faceless company making errors. So remember, if something doesn't look right, speak up, ask questions, and never be afraid to challenge a charge, because in doing so, you aren't just saving money, you're standing up for yourself and keeping the control of your life where it belongs, in your own hands. Number 5. Debts already erased by bankruptcy. Debts already erased by bankruptcy are one of the most heartbreaking areas where seniors lose money simply because they don't fully understand their rights, and sadly, creditors and collection agencies often take advantage of this lack of knowledge. When you go through bankruptcy, the law wipes away certain debts completely. It's like being given a clean slate so you can move forward without the constant burden of bills hanging over your head. But many seniors, out of fear, shame, or confusion, keep paying on debts that no longer legally exist, thinking that if they don't, collectors will harass them, or worse, that they could lose their home or dignity. Imagine Thomas, a 70-year-old who had to declare bankruptcy after years of struggling with medical bills and credit card debt, and even though the court officially discharged those debts, he continued mailing checks to a collector for nearly a year because the intimidating letters and phone calls convinced him he had no choice. His niece finally noticed what was happening, looked over the paperwork, and gently explained to him that the debts were gone forever, never to be collected again. And the relief he felt in that moment was overwhelming. He described it as if 1,000 pounds had been lifted from his shoulders, like he could finally breathe after years of suffocating worry. And that's the power of understanding the truth. Once bankruptcy has discharged your debts, no company, no collector, no letter, and no phone call can force you to pay them ever again, because the law is firmly on your side. But many seniors don't know this, and out of guilt or fear, they give away the little money they have, money meant for medication, food, or keeping the lights on, not for paying something that no longer exists. Every unnecessary payment chips away not just at their savings but at their peace of mind, their sense of security, and their ability to live with dignity. And here's where the emotional connection matters. Bankruptcy isn't something to be ashamed of, it's a lifeline meant to help people start fresh when life throws them into impossible financial situations, and honoring that second chance means refusing to let predatory companies steal your stability. So if you or someone you love has gone through bankruptcy, take the time to review the paperwork, talk with a trusted advisor, or even just ask a family member to help confirm which debts are truly gone, because the freedom that comes with knowing you never have to pay them again is priceless. Protecting yourself is not only smart, it's a way of saying, my future matters, my peace matters, and I deserve to live without chains from the past. So hold your head high, remember that what's erased is gone forever, and let yourself enjoy the life and security you fought so hard to rebuild. No 6 debts that belong to adult children unless you co-sign. One of the hardest financial traps many loving parents and grandparents fall into is paying debts that actually belong to their adult children. And this happens because our hearts are tied to our families. So when a son or daughter struggles, it feels almost natural to step in and help. But here is the truth: unless you co-sign for that loan, credit card, or medical bill, you are not legally responsible for paying it, and giving away your hard-earned savings to cover your children's financial mistakes can drain the money you need for your own care, health, and peace of mind. Take Irene for example. She was 80 years old when she started sending money every month to cover her son's rising credit card bills, and while her intention came from love, it quickly ate away at the small retirement savings she had worked her whole life to build. And the saddest part is that she later discovered she had never been obligated to pay even a single cent. Her son's debts were his responsibility, not hers, And by the time she realized this, her financial security had already been deeply shaken. This story is not rare, because many seniors feel guilty when they say no to their children. But the truth is, protecting your own financial well-being is not selfish, it is responsible, and it is sometimes the most loving thing you can do, because it teaches your children to stand on their own feet while ensuring that you remain safe and stable. Think about it this way: if you give away your retirement funds to cover someone else's bills, who will be there to cover your needs later on? Your money is meant for your health, your comfort, and your daily security, not for cleaning up mistakes that aren't yours. It is painful, of course, to watch your child struggle, but boundaries are a form of love too, and in many cases, by saying no, you are giving your children the space to learn responsibility and resilience, while at the same time protecting your own future. Imagine the peace of mind you could have if you no longer felt pressured to choose between paying for your medication or bailing out your child's overdue bills. What if you used that money to make your home safer, eat healthier, or treat yourself to moments of joy that you have earned after a lifetime of hard work? That is the kind of freedom you deserve, and you should never feel ashamed for protecting it. So remember this simple but powerful truth: unless your name is signed on the loan, the debt belongs to your child alone. And saying no does not mean you don't love them, it means you love yourself enough to protect your future, and sometimes, that is the most important lesson of all.